So you go back and watch Halloween, and there's this clip that the babysitter's watching, the thing
That's
from
right.
another world.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that that would turn into what became John Carpenter's The Thing?
No, I had no clue. That was just, I had a 3/4 inch VCR at the time.
A U-matic.
And oh yeah, it was this giant thing. And we needed stuff to be on TV. So I just picked that.
Was it always a favorite movie?
I love that movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that movie.
And you worked with a regular crew, starting with Halloween. Well, even Assault on Precinct 13, a lot of the same crew guys. The Thing was your first big studio movie.
That's right.
And you brought the guys with you, right?
That's right.
So they had to join the union. They had, there were all kinds of issues to be able to bring the people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was Dean and his crew, and they were his regular crew.
Right.
They had been with him for years.
Ray Stella.
Yeah, Mark Walthour. They had done a lot of low-budget films, and they just came right in, and it worked out great. Worked out great.
How The Thing came together, though, you know, who was involved and how it happened. You were in a very enviable position of having come off the most profitable, successful independent film in history. Then you did The Fog, which was a big success, Escape from New York. Each was kind of a step up in a budgetary level. But suddenly, you're given the keys to the kingdom, and in a way, at a major studio production, you had a lot of control.
I did have some control on that. How did that come about? They started courting me because the movies kept making money. And Stuart Cohen, who I went to USC Film School with, said, let's do a reimagining of The Thing, whatever that means. And they had worked on it already with scripts. Toby Hooper had done a screenplay, and they put it underwater, and they didn't know what to do with The Thing.
But they knew it was a favorite film of yours, right?
I don't think they cared or
Really?
knew. Yeah, they didn't know. And at first I thought, oh no, I don't want to do this as my first studio film. I love this old movie. And there's not much I can do to make it any better than the Hawks movie. All I can do is modernize it. Really? I was disappointed, but I very quickly thought, you know what, this is my chance to make a studio movie.
There was a lot of control that you had that otherwise first-time studio filmmakers would not have had. I remember at the time you would not allow any photographers to be on the set for any of the special effects. You would only allow frame blow-ups to be used, and that everything was locked away. And what were those initial discussions like about how you wanted it to be covered and how secret?
Well, you know, I don't remember much about that. My control was more illusory than it was. It wasn't written in paper because as soon as we started negotiating, Universal sent me this contract, and it said, well, we have all business and artistic decisions. And I said, well, I'm not doing it then. So they backed off that hard line a little bit.
But that's their standard contract,
oh, I know.
So you went around that.
I just wasn't going to do it. That's just too much. So I don't remember how it is that I got that done, that no pictures of The Thing. They went along with it. I can't believe it.
Well, do you think maybe that the studios have respect for the money that genre films make, but they don't have any real knowledge or respect for the genre films themselves, and they put it in your hands and trusted you?
I think that's part of it. They wanted to make money, and they thought, well, this guy can do it. But they thought a lot of guys can do it. So it wasn't. It worked out fine that way because it kept being a mystery, and it kept being something that you can't see, and we saved it. Now, it doesn't make the film a big success, but that's the way I wanted it to go.
At the time, it wasn't a box office success, and I remember I was doing special publicity on it, and I had done the making of it, so I had said to you, you know, it's not a success right now, but I'll bet you in 10 or 20 years this is a classic.
Did you say that really?
I really
Or are
did
you just
tell
making
you
that up now?
I'd love to be making it up and pretending I said it, but I remember saying that, and you went, bullshit.
Yeah.
But it was the year of E.T., which was the
Sure.
big success, most successful film of all time.
That's right.
Who do you know who talks about E.T. in 2016?
Well, so I guess some people do. I don't know.
But the thing has stood the test of time. You watch that and it's still galvanizing and something really special. And it's a very directed movie. You know, it really...
Well, yeah.
A little, I'd love to know how you envisioned it and what your kind of overall thought process was and what this movie was to you.
Well, Mick, I didn't exactly envision it. Got a writer, Bill Lancaster, who's extremely talented.
Burt Lancaster's son.
He had written The Bad News Bears, and he was just a really talented writer.
But now, were you a fan of the Campbell story, Who Goes There, that it was based on before? So you'd known the story before.
I'd known the story. It was a pulp story, you know,
Yeah.
but I still love the idea.
But your thing is a lot more like that story than the Howard Hawks Christian Nyby. Yeah.
Well, they couldn't figure out what to do with the monster and the thing. So.
Was Bill Lancaster your choice as writer, or had he come in before? No. So what made you think from Bad News Bears that he was the right guy for this?
He pitched the story to me, and it was this. First of all, it was the scene where Norris's chest opens. He had that worked out. Wow. And I said, Bill, but the scene in the movie that I cannot wait to direct is the blood test. That is the scene around which the entire movie revolves. So you got to really work that out.
So you pick a scene that you think is pivotal, you know, or not choose it. It chooses itself when you're reading a script.
Well, that one does.
That jumped out at you.
That's it. That's
literally.
That's the whole point of the movie. Who goes here? Who are you? Which one of us is the creature? It's
incredibly suspenseful because everything normally plays in threes. You expect it to be the third one.
No.
And it keeps going, and it keeps going until you finally do that Hitchcock trick of relieving tension, and then wham, you just slap the audience in the face.
And then we're off and running.
Yeah.
But I think the location worked for us because it was isolated, and we actually went up in the snow. That was good. And then the monster was just outstanding, and that was Rob Bottin's idea. Against everybody told me, don't do this. This is too much.
Something that could change into anything at will.
Yeah. And it's looked like everything it's ever imitated, so you just pull it out. And I went with it, though. I committed to it.
And Rob was, what, 23 years old at the time?
He was a child, yeah.
And so you put your trust in this kid.
I did.
Who had done a couple of small films. He worked on The Fog with you. But nothing of this scope. Yes, he'd done The Howling before, which was one of the first Change-O-Head movies, Metamorphosis movies.
You call it Change-O-Head?
That's what they called them, yeah. Rick Baker and he, the Change-O-Head. But how did this young kid who had done this werewolf movie and the Ghost Pirates of the Fog, how did he convince you? Because it's such a huge part of the movie.
Rob came in and said, here's what it should do. Here's what it should be. It can be anything. This is the opportunity of a lifetime to do stuff that no one has seen. We can take special makeup effects to a new level. And he did a little test with some little creatures or something, but it never resembled anything we did. And I thought, you know, I hadn't seen anything like this before. Let's try this. So we did. He was in over his head a little bit. He had a lot of people drawing for him, and a lot of really great artists drawing stuff for him.
So did it slow down production, or did you plan on shooting a lot of these things as a second unit, or was a lot of it to take place with the actors interacting with all of this stuff?
It started with a lot of on set. Rob would come on set with stuff, and that for a while worked out, and then as Rob got further and further behind, that dwindled. And so now it's a total second unit that we go over to where he was building the stuff. And we'd bring the cameras and the lights and we'd shoot there. And totally divorced from the actors. They were already had gone.
So editorially, you and Todd Ramsey, I guess it was a real handful to try and integrate all these bits and pieces that had to be done one piece, a rubber piece at a time.
That's right.
And integrate with the actors. Did it take its toll on the actors and on you as a director?
No, it wasn't bad because we could figure out, well, we don't need to cover this part. We can just go for here. And here's the shot we need. We need over the shoulder so we can get a stand-in. Usually Larry Franco standing there. And then whatever it was, combined with it. And so in a sense, it made it easier because it was more specific.
Right.
Here's the shot we need for this.
And you would be able to shoot everything with the actors out in a regular
That's right.
shooting day.
That's right, yeah.
And you didn't have to stop and start and stop and start.
That's right. And the toughest part of shooting with the actors was when Charlie Hallahan, his chest opens up. He's lying on this reclining table, and they built the rubber thing out, and he was hurting, really hurting. And that was a tough day for everybody. But we got through it, and that was after we finished shooting, wrapped the movie. That's when we started the majority of the effects, because he was so far behind.
And that wasn't the plan. It
No,
was
it
going to
wasn't.
be concurrent.
No, it was all going to be done at the same time. No, we weren't.
So what was the one scene that came together as far as the makeup effects and the like go, where you went, fuck, this is really special?
The scene where Hallahan's head, Norris's head comes off, turns over and sprouts, all that stuff, and looks, and then
You gotta be fucking kidding.
That's
I actually was lucky enough to be there the day that his head was coming off and going down the side.
Yeah.
And it was astonishing to watch that.
Yeah.
So that's where it came together for you.
Yeah, and then we hadn't, all the pieces weren't done then, and then later we got the pieces, and I thought, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And a lot of it, 50% of it, was Rob Bottin and his abilities as a special effects technician, and 50% was Dean Cundey lighting this stuff. Lighting it with enough light so you could see it, but not too much where it gave it away.
Right. So you weren't sitting there going latex.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something about that methicil that makes things come to life.
Yeah.
You know, the wetness, the slime they call it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it in this movie. But I mean, I can just see you kind of gleefully doing some of these things. Like, this is going to be so much fun.
I wish it was gleeful. By the time we were doing most of it, I was so tired, and
Torture.
we were so far behind. Come on, Rob, please, please. It was pulling teeth, but it was worth it. It was, once again, when you look at the whole movie, it's okay, and it was worth it.
When's the last time you looked at it?
Oh, years ago.
I watched it last night again, and it's amazing. And let's get back to Dean Cundey and your choice of all of your feature films. Pretty much all of them have been widescreen. And in the days when you started making movies, a widescreen movie meant the screen got bigger. And later on, in the multiplexes, widescreen movies meant it got smaller. And on television, you watch them even on the 185 sets. You're using less of the screen. Does that have an impact on your choices in more modern times?
No,
I know the Ward wasn't widescreen,
yeah,
was it?
well, it was, but
Was
it
it?
wasn't a pure Panavision. It wasn't
Right.
those lenses. I decided, look, I'm going to make this for people who are sitting in the theaters and seeing it on the widescreen. I'm not going to worry about everything else.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about what it's like on TV. I'm not going to worry about anything else but that, because that's the way I want it to be. But I can't control that.
Right.
You know, they're going to put it in theaters wherever they want to put it. So I'm just going to shoot it the way I want.
Well, what is the appeal of the widescreen to you? I know that Paul Verhoeven once said, wow, I can shoot a whole scene in a master, whereas I have to shoot 8 setups to cover people in the standard size.
It is because when I was a kid, CinemaScope came in, and it was wow, look at this. It's huge. Look at this thing. Now, it has its drawbacks, but I just love that format. I love it. It just got away from the square and the sort of the 185, and it just went out. No, it was gorgeous. Probably in all the westerns I watched, I loved it.
I would get so excited when the screen would grow out.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when you say, oh, it gets bigger and
It's
bigger.
a movie.
It's a real
movie.
Yeah. So this timing is great to talk about music because right now, I mean, you've got this new career as a rock star. You've been touring,
Stop it.
playing
Yes, I
your
have been.
music to audiences like 28,000 people.
Yeah.
And you were in a band in your youth, and I remember being at the Wiltern Theater when the Coupe de Villes were playing their scene in Escape from New York.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's it feel like to play your music live for an audience?
Well, it's just so different than the rest of my career has been, and it's wonderful. Oh, it's great. Well, I get to play with my son and my godson, and we have this great band, Tenacious D's backing band, and they're with us.
Wow.
And we just sound tight, and I'm doing the scores from the movies. I'm even doing the thing from the main titles from the thing. And it's great fun, just great fun.
But did you imagine that being your life when you were doing music as a kid? No. You always wanted to make films.
Well, that was the choice I made when I got to be 20. I thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay in Bowling Green, Kentucky, in a little rock and roll band and play for fraternity parties? Or am I going to go out to California and try? I'd go to film school. So that's what I decided to do.
And do you think film school was the ticket to your being able to move into becoming a filmmaker?
It was for me.
Yeah.
I learned everything there. I soaked it all up. It was just fantastic. I don't know what it's like now. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, but it was incredible.
And the opportunity to work with the equipment, was it the access to filmmakers as your professors? What was it about film school? Yeah.
All of it. You got immersed in movies, so you watched movies all the time. You had to make movies as part of your courses, and you had to learn every aspect of movies: the photography, the editing, the sound, acting, directing, writing, just you name it. Even the animation and even the lab. You worked in the lab a little bit. So back in the days when this was a chemical process.
When there was such a thing.
So that immersed you.
Let's go back to the music a little bit, because although this is credited to Ennio Morricone, it's a very atonal score. It's tones more than it is melodies or anything like that. But there are some very specifically Carpenter-esque cues in there.
Because Carpenter did them.
That's my question. Tell me about how that came about.
Well, we didn't have the movie done, and Ennio Morricone came in and he said, I can do this two ways. I can score the entire movie, but that's not going to be possible. So what I'm going to do is give you various pieces. Mm-hmm. And frankly, though, people are misremembering or misremembering the score. I did three little connecting moments, the real atonal stuff, and his opening theme was real spare and real depressing and creepy at the same time. Yeah. But he had lush violin pieces in this movie, real orchestral feels to them. And people don't remember that. There's really some beautiful stuff that he's done.
But they're spatial and atmospheric more than they are melodic.
That's him, yeah.
But there's a fullness to it that's just beautiful. But are all the electronic cues yours?
Not all of them. I'd have to go back, and I can identify them because of the
But he was equally as comfortable with the synthetic stuff as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he started out as an experimental musician, so that's where he came from.
But your history is in music. Your father was head of the music department at the University of Southern Kentucky. Yeah. And so he was a violinist primarily. And what was the first instrument you played?
He tried to teach me the violin. And the only problem was that I had no talent. So I struggled for many years, didn't care about it. I was a mark for bullies in school, carrying this violin case to school. Hey guys, beat me up.
And Did you find keyboards to be something that suited your personality?
Keyboards were great, bass guitar was great, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, that was all great stuff.
So you play all those instruments.
Yeah.
But
So let's talk about the thing locations,
Yeah.
which is something that no one's talked about, Nick.
well, we were going to talk about, because you scouted those locations in the summer up in British
There are
Columbia.
three sections of movie making on the thing. One was a second unit up in Alaska, above Juneau, Alaska, in the Juneau ice fields. These are the ice fields above the Mendenhall Glacier. And that's where all the weather begins in the United States up there. And they have a little scientific station up there that we bunked in and shot just vistas. That's the opening with the helicopter chasing the dog. That's mostly shot up there. We brought the dogs up. We brought the cameras up. Oh, we were miserable up there.
The dogs were amazing actors.
Well, there's Jed was the most amazing one of all. He was part wolf. Mm-hmm. So we had to all be very quiet when he came on the set. Smart dog. Anyway, so we shot up there for 2 or 3 weeks. Then we came back to LA. And then it was time to go on the sound stages. So we shot on the sound stages. And,
Now you refrigerated one of those
Yeah, we
sound
did.
stages,
Yeah,
which I had never seen before.
yeah. But it wasn't that cold. It was, you had to work on it to get it breath. You had to drink coffee.
Right.
Work it. You had to really get it coming out.
Because now people do it digitally, and it just doesn't. It's not the same.
No, it's not the same.
To truly see that.
And so we shot on the sound stages, and then during the summer, John Lloyd and several people went up and scouted Stewart, British Columbia. And it was a glacier on this mountain where they were mining, I think. They were pulling out something. I don't remember what it was.
Right.
Ore?
Yeah,
coal?
there was ore mining going on there at that time.
And down below in Stewart was this freshwater port. And so we built the set up there. And then in the wintertime, it snowed in, and there was the set and this beautiful glacier. So then we went up and shot that. And that was primarily it was the camp and the blowing up of the camp, and the burning of the camp, and then other little odds and ends up there.
I remember the snow there, and that I'd never been on a glacier before. Here's this blue ice that something like I'd never seen, and it was the crew was staying on a logging barge, and it was a 2-hour bus ride every day to and from the set, and that was an adventure. How did you visualize that? Did you storyboard what was going on there?
Some of it I did, but mostly it was just I had a shot list of, okay, we need this to finish the movie. We got to have this.
So this was the last stage of
This was it. It was right before Christmas. I will say that there are some perks for directors because I stayed in a hotel and I flew up by helicopter every day, so we didn't have to go 2 hours. And the problem with the 2-hour bus ride was that the ore trucks would come barreling down the hill at full speed. So they'd radio ahead, get off the road. Mm-hmm. So the crew bus would have to pull over and wait. And, those trucks weren't going to stop. They were not going to stop all the way down. So we shot, some days we couldn't shoot because of the weather. It was white out or it was snowing, and sometimes I remember falling asleep and this snowing on me. Snow filled up. And I remember blowing up the place. Oh, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable explosion. But we got it all, and then came back, and then we got to shoot the special effects. And I had run out of patience for Rob and his guys at that point. I had really worked really hard on it. It was pretty hard to finish up, and we were still shooting, edging up to release.
Right. So, would you say this is the most challenging movie you've ever made?
Oh, yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
And that location, I've never seen a location that desolate and that
remote.
isolated. Yeah.
I know, it was unbelievable up there, but it was beautiful. Oh, it was gorgeous.
And so that was the choice. But you had committed to this location like the summer before.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
I had to. That was the one place they found. The original thing was shot in North Dakota. Wow. Yeah, but we couldn't find what we needed, and this was the best place to go. Let me say one other thing about the thing that as a movie that I have made, I think it is I think it's one of the bleakest, darkest movies ever made because of its view of the lack of trust in humanity. I learned a couple of valuable lessons making that movie. Young audiences don't like that. Everybody wanted to know who the thing was in the last scene. And I purposely would not, I know who the thing was, but I'm not gonna ever tell you.
Good.
Ever. And that was the ending that the movie deserved. And then here comes this bleak music by Ennio, and everybody's, oh God, it's over. So, but that's the movie I made. And I'm extremely proud of the movie.
So of all the films you made, is this the one that came out maybe closest to what you intended?
Yeah, this is it.
That's a pretty great feeling.
And it's the strongest film I've ever made. It's not the most audience pleasing.
No,
It's
but
a stronger one.
do you consider yourself a cynic?
Well,
It's a cynical movie, but
Todd Ramsey said to me that I am a short-term pessimist and a long-term optimist.
that's
Which is a different deal. I have a ultimate concern and an ultimate feeling about mankind. I think that somehow we will survive.
But I'm just delighted that you made a movie that you can sit back and say, this is the movie I intended to make, and it's been so embraced by the world.
Well, what's amazing is here we sit, all these years later, and you were on the set with me back then when I was young, and you were young, and now here we are, still talking about this thing.
Still talking about this thing, and rightfully so, because it deserves it. It's historic.
Thanks, man. You're kind. That's why I like you so much.
Well, that's great. Thanks, John.
All righty.